Hello. How's it
Hey,
going?
I'm Simon.
How's it going, Simon? Showzart.
Yeah, is that your art in the background?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very
Uh,
cool. So you're a
Where you
visual
from?
artist.
Yes, I paint, I sculpt. Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Visual artist.
I'm a singer. I sing. That's my art. Not much
Oh,
for
beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful.
I I
That means I get to listen to some beautiful music today.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope it's beautiful.
Well, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen louder.
Awesome. I will listen loudly and watch loudly to your art as well. And
Yeah. Where are you from, brother?
I'm from Long Beach. I born and raised. Grew up in Long Beach. Went to college there too. And so, what about
Long
you?
Long Beach is a cool city. Born in Kansas City, Missouri, raised in South Central LA.
Nice.
Reside in Skid Row.
Yeah. All right.
I went out since I had this opportunity to do this for Los Angeles Listen Louder. My thing was like, you know what, this is something I really want to try to bring some attention to, and if I can have some assistance on it, yeah, and I felt it was a perfect opportunity to actually launch this idea. Well, California, for one, is they say it's a republic state, and that's true. You know, people choose their own individuality and build their own empires and grow as entrepreneurs. But at the same time, to be in California and to be an entrepreneur, most people will experience homelessness, and they don't ever express that part, and they also don't express the part that it's one of our biggest issues that we have here, and it's not all about sunshine and the movie stars and things of that fashion, because most of them also have been experienced homelessness or sleeping on someone's couch. So the whole thing is just giving the actual view that yeah, you can come to California for your dreams. Just one thing can you do every day is step up out of that reality. Yeah, you know, they're showing what the bear is doing, where the bear is walking, but they never show what the bear came out of.
Yeah. I really I really like it. Yeah. Where is the mural?
It's in Skid Row. It's on series between 6th and 7th, and the idea now just starting to mural every part of that block because it has a lot of graffiti up. And my thing is, since they do like the graffiti to be up, why not put something that represents the community and where we're trying to go? So is that French?
It's actually Russian. It's
Is Russian?
yeah, Tchaikovsky from an opera by Tchaikovsky. Yeah, it's a song
Okay.
from an opera called The Queen of Spades, the kind of profession of love by this man Yeletsky, who is just pouring his heart out to this woman, and she doesn't listen to him at all. And
They're on different
right,
levels.
exactly.
That is close.
Yeah, the word his words are just passing right over her, and kind of in the context of LA, listen louder LA, I wanted to kind of just lay it out there, it's like
It's
saying I
right
love
here in
you.
your face. It's right here in your face, and you're looking
Yeah,
elsewhere.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No. That's what I was getting from the whole thing. It was like the the genuineness from that person, and and to not be reciprocated. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter because the whole thing is, if it didn't end there, like you said, it ended. He still would pour his heart out still,
yeah,
because every chance it seemed like his whole thing was to let it be known that regardless of what it is, I'm here.
yeah. She tries to walk away and say, hey, don't let's not do this now, and he says, no, stop, I have to tell you this right now. And then he says this whole thing to her, and she just walks away, and that's it.
Man,
Yeah.
close
And
thing.
but yeah, I thought that kind of just profession of love and profession of support for
Individual.
an individual is something that, like, I think all of us need to consider more often for our neighbor and for those around us who we may not feel that way about us, or who we may not know. Yeah.
I love how you said our neighbor, because that's what we need to start considering, everyone, our neighbor, because it's not labeling you in any slander. Anything else is a slander. Homeless, handicapped, black, white. Like it's a handicap for you to make sure that you can label them under your social understanding. But if you say neighbor, that right there, to love your neighbor and to be kind to your neighbor. So I love how you said neighbor, because that's, if you're not gonna say brother or sister, then to say neighbor is I guess that's the next best thing.
And I have, like, these great memories of taking the blue line from Long Beach. You ride it for like an hour, and then you're at like Staples Center, or like you can get to downtown. You can see all kinds of music there. Like seeing jazz. I saw my first opera at L.A. Opera. That was where the kind of mecca of music, where I could go and see all kinds of things that I had never heard before.
When it comes to me, the culture that I'm most related to and most comfortable with was, for a fact, the inner city culture and the art culture. I guess it was just because growing up, I'm seeing most of those that I'm comfortable with and that I've been, I guess, accustomed to being around. Inner city is totally different than growing up in other areas, just because of the way we interact with each other.
I have not met and talked to as many people experiencing homelessness as I would want, and I want to learn more. I want to know how I can help, and what I can do to be a good neighbor, and to be more a part of the community.
A culture that I was always intrigued to want to know about was the rich, and I guess that's the privilege, to be able to live without a foot on your neck, or the pressure of wanting to know when. And when I say when is this going to end? As far as, when do I go to jail? When is the cop coming? When am I going to have a problem? Like, to live like that is a real burden. And I lived like that until I started just really focusing on my art. Once I really focused on my art, that's when I became free. So and it also brought me into the privilege. Once I started doing my art, I started getting more privileged friends. It was a great thing, me coming from the inner city, because I think it's the same. It's the opposite. Those that are privileged are intrigued with those that have had struggle. So it brings a common balance, to where now it leaves us to converse about our differences. So it's the understanding. So yeah, I guess that's how I would answer that question. Once I realized that, regardless of every other lane that I jumped in, from basketball to workforce or whatever, it was to the government and to a colonial beat. And I'll never be colonial. It never can. I mean, I can't. I wasn't born colonial. So for me to look in certain ways and look for certain satisfaction in a machine that doesn't have a pamphlet for those conditions that I'm looking for, I'm a fool. So the best thing to do is to do like Skid Row, and to build my own infrastructure and my own narrative for what my story should be. instead of looking towards someone else's movie script and demanding a star role. You can't look in someone else's movie script and demand a star role. So my thing is to create my own movie script and to not be a star, but to be a great supporting actor. So that's what made me just end up doing art. Me personally, if I go first, there's not a culture that I choose not to listen to, because if I close my ears, then I'm being foolish, because everyone needs to be heard. Everyone should be heard. Everyone has something to say. Doesn't mean it shifts my angle and it decreases my momentum in my race. Not at all. But there's really not any particular culture that I choose not to listen to. It'd be something different if they asked not to follow. Is there a certain culture you choose not to follow? But any culture not to listen to. I mean, I'm listening to all my brothers and sisters, because if I want to be respected, I need to hear how they wish to be respected. So
Yeah. Being totally honest, I like growing up, I probably and assuredly did not listen to the struggles of like my African American brothers and sisters and my the kind of immigrant communities that I was not directly a part of. I had the privilege to not search out their voice, and I hope that my work in the my kind of adulthood and after kind of some education and thought has at least begun to change that and begun to listen to the voices that I didn't hear as much as a younger person and growing up.
I'd be biased to say Los Angeles isn't listening, because with me being in the work, I run into those that are listening. You know, uh, and they're very um, coherent, and they're very up to date of what's going on. Um, but if I was to say Los Angeles as a whole, meaning the whole county, no, they're not listening at all, because we're looking towards everywhere else instead of looking right here at home. That this pandemic has been going on before. Before we had COVID, we've had a pandemic. Before there was Katrina, we've had refugees. We're having lack of oxygen pumping towards the heart, and that right there would cause a heart attack or a stroke. So we're not actually looking at our heart isn't getting the right amount of blood to it, which is downtown. Our arteries are clogged because our streets are flooded. Art doesn't, it crosses color lines, it crosses barriers. And depending on what art that you do and how you produce it, people can hold their own opinion on it, but the thing about it is they're going to view it or they're going to listen to it quicker than the person that's just stepping up in the arena trying to speak. So when it's put in the music, people accept it. If you put it in the food, a person that tastes it, not realizing it's a different culture food. When you put it up on the wall, or you put it into an art piece or on a T-shirt or things like that, it's more accepted. So art can actually change a person's culture and broaden their mind. So I think to where they might grab a sense of understanding.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think just like you said, art is the best way to get people to put down their weapons and their guns and their notions and kind of hate, is to disarm them with art and to bring them into a place where they're looking at something that they know is entirely peaceful and entirely meant to be enjoyed as a community and to be kind of brought into a space where that kind of that disarmament is acceptable. You know, it's acceptable to be vulnerable and to be to ask questions and to not be so put into your two sides, or you're fighting sides. Like you can be a part of something that you wouldn't necessarily think of yourself as being a part of. Yeah, I think I mean I agree. Like I think in LA there's, you know, this the kind of like idea of California and the idea of like this beautiful place, this beautiful land that we all kind of, I mean, that at least many of us in California hold in our heads as like an accepting place of all peoples, of all races, of all backgrounds, you know. And that idea comes into conflict with practice. That idea comes into conflict with everyday decisions. Like once you have to give something up to help your neighbor, I think the kind of sheen of false neighborly love falls off in LA a bit. And I think that's how LA is not listening louder. I mean, I can just go first and say I like, it was an honor to meet you and to see your art and to talk to you about art. Yeah.
The experience today was great, to be able to talk, and like I said, the place that art is taking me. If I didn't do art, I'd just be some kid out of the neighborhood. But doing art puts me on different plateaus and different platforms, so I can meet people from all over the world. And then to speak with another artist, especially, I take it that without a doubt, being from Long Beach, and then, you know, Russia, you're probably what, you know, 3 languages?
I would call myself passable in 3 in addition to English. So, but I'm working.
And regardless of that, yeah, I could read it, so that did help me understand what was going on. But the passion and how it was sang or sung, I could tell the pain, the message, even though it wasn't in a dialogue I could understand. But with me reading it, it let me know that I was on the right page. And I think that's the great thing about art. It is like a person seeing a picture. You don't know what the person was thinking, which could be a totally different language, but you look at it and you get, from the expression and the way it's put out, you still somewhat get where they're coming from, even if it's a totally different, you know, different language. So I mean, I thought that was great. And to speak to you personally, I never thought I was gonna hear something Russian. So that was I thought that was real great, and it just shows the great part about art. So pleasure, brother.
My pleasure's all mine.